DICE's long-awaited Star Wars shooter is finally here, but can it find a way to distinguish itself in a field crowded by new releases such as Call of Duty Black Ops 3 and Halo 5 Guardians? Let's kick off with the meat of the game, the multiplayer. There are 9 modes, the first of which is Supremacy, where 20-player teams attempt to secure as many control points as possible. It's got a real sense of urgency to it. Now, it's not very long, but the pace is lightning quick. It's a great way to introduce you to Battlefront's core mechanics. The most talked about mode by far is Walker Assault, where epic large-scale battles take place over a sprawling battlefield. You can fly vehicles, you can control AT-ATs, it's incredibly frantic, and though getting a game going can take a few minutes as you wait for the server to fill up with 40 players, and some of the spawns seem a little questionable to me, it's easily the best mode in the game, especially when fighting on Endor or Hoth. Fighter Squadron is essentially dogfight mode. It's a 10v10 sky battle with AI aircraft thrown in to make things seem a little busier. In fairness, the majority of your kills will probably come from the AI, and though this mode is fitfully entertaining, the sense of speed really isn't there, and it's not much more than a brief diversion for when you feel a little burned out of traditional shooting. Blast is a simple 10v10 team deathmatch, with teams competing to hit 100 points. Yes, it seems positively rudimentary compared to the other modes, but it does the job if you desire something a little more straight-laced. Cargo is essentially a 6v6 capture the flag mode, except of course you're retrieving enemy cargo while trying to protect your own. Nothing outstanding here, but perfectly acceptable also. One of my personal favourites is up next, Drop Zone, an 8v8 mode in which escape pods crash onto the map and you must fight to reclaim them before the other team can. In effectively funneling all 16 players towards one point, some ridiculously intense firefights can break out. It's short and snappy but a ton of fun. I think it'll be the game's breakout mode for sure. My first attempt at Droid Run mode resulted in this black screen glitch, which sadly even a suicide wouldn't rectify. Anyway, it's the only notable glitch I've encountered so far, so let's move on. Droid Run is basically Capture the Droid, a 6v6 battle to take control of 3 power droids, with the winner being decided by which team has control of a majority of them when the timer runs out. This definitely seems like the least skill-based of the traditional shooter modes, because you'll often win more through lucky timing at a pivotal moment rather than a strong team performance across the board. For that reason, I honestly doubt I'll be returning to it all that often. And here's where things get interesting. Hero Hunt randomly selects one player to play as an absurdly overpowered Star Wars icon, such as Luke Skywalker or Han Solo. The other 7 players attempt to kill the hero, and whoever lands the killing blow then becomes the new hero, with the overall winner being whoever racks up the most kills. It's a novel idea and undeniably entertaining when you can let rip with a lightsaber, but you'll spend the overwhelming majority of your time as a downtrodden foot soldier, and it seems ridiculously unfair that the next hero isn't assigned by overall damage dealt to the previous hero, but quite often just a random blind shot out of nowhere. Again, it's more about luck than skill, but the novelty aspect does make it undeniably alluring. And finally, we come to heroes versus villains, which sadly isn't an all-out war between all the epic characters, though it's not too far off either. This is a 6v6 deathmatch in which 3 players on each side will play as generic infantry, while the other 3 will play as either hero or villain characters. The goal is simple: eliminate all the epic characters on the other side to win the round. If Hero Hunt makes it improbable that you'll end up playing as an awesome character, here things are shuffled sufficiently so that you won't wait more than a few minutes for your hero or villain fix. And now onto the single player, or what little there is of it. Training mode will introduce you to the core mechanics of combat and vehicles. Everything is so simple in this game anyway, you needn't waste your time. Battles allow you to play shootouts against AI opponents, either on your own, online with a buddy, or split screen. But honestly, unless your internet connection's on the fritz, it's hard to see much of an appeal here, given how little effort has actually gone into it. And finally, there's survival mode, a wave-based endurance trial that would have been decidedly more enjoyable if the game allowed matchmaking with 2 or 3 other players. As it stands, it's acceptable, but probably not something you'll return to very often. So, that's Battlefront's gameplay, but what about everything else? Graphically, the game is terrific and easily one of the best looking of its genre. Even on consoles, the texture detail is gorgeous for the most part, and things rarely drop below a smooth 60 frames per second. Sound design is arguably even better. It never feels less than a lived-in Star Wars world, with the familiar score and sound effects making fans feel right at home, even if the Han Solo and Darth Vader voice actors are more than a little ropey. Many have turned their nose up at Battlefront as a dumbed-down version of DICE's own Battlefield, and though in a way they're right, the experience doesn't really feel any less enjoyable as a result. Yes, you can slaughter enemies from hip fire without a second's thought, and the progression system feels thoroughly rudimentary compared to Battlefield's, but it's simply an accessible shooter done well. It doesn't reinvent the wheel, but does a great job with what's there. The real problem then is the unfortunate lack of diversity as far as the maps go. There are 12 maps spread across 4 planets in the game, and most of the modes just cycle through 4 of these 12 maps, which were designed for their purpose. It becomes painfully obvious in something like Walker Assault in particular that the game's staying power would be enhanced massively by 8 or even 12 tailor-made maps, but of course that's where DLC comes in and where EA want you to pay another £40 to get the quote-unquote full experience. It's too early to say whether or not Battlefront's community will stay strong in the meantime or if it will just fizzle out by early next year, but sadly EA's greed does make the on-disc content feel a little on the lean side. It's not a deal breaker, but it's a definite flaw, ensuring Star Wars Battlefront is a solid 8 out of 10, but far from the masterpiece it absolutely had the potential to be. Thanks for watching, and I'll be here from dusk till dawn.